It's Sunday afternoon. You have no plans, no deadlines, no obligations. This is supposed to be your day to rest. But instead of feeling relaxed, you feel anxious. You're sitting on the couch, and a voice in your head starts whispering, "You're wasting time. You should be doing something productive. Everyone else is working on their side hustle right now. What's wrong with you?" So you pick up your phone and start scrolling, not because you're enjoying it, but because at least it feels like you're doing something. But that doesn't help either. Now you feel guilty for resting and guilty for scrolling. You can't win. If this sounds familiar, I need you to understand something. This guilt is not your fault. You've been conditioned by a system that profits from your exhaustion. Today, we're going to dismantle the productivity trap and give you permission to rest without shame. The guilt you feel when you rest is not natural, it's learned. We live in a culture that has turned productivity into a moral virtue. Somewhere along the way, society decided that your worth as a human being is directly tied to your output. If you're producing, you're valuable. If you're resting, you're lazy. This is called the Protestant work ethic, and it's deeply embedded in modern culture. It tells us that hard work is noble, that suffering builds character, and that rest is something you have to earn. But here's the truth: rest is not a reward for productivity. Rest is a biological necessity. Your body is not a machine, it's an organism. And every organism has natural cycles of activity and recovery. Your heart beats, then it rests. Your lungs expand, then they contract. Even the soil needs to lie fallow between harvests. But somehow, we've convinced ourselves that we're the exception, that we can just keep going and going without consequence. Neuroscience shows us what happens when you don't rest. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making, creativity, and emotional regulation, starts to shut down. You become irritable, foggy, and unable to focus. Ironically, the less you rest, the less productive you become. But the guilt keeps you from stopping. So, where does this guilt come from? It comes from a concept called internalized capitalism. You have absorbed the values of a system that sees you as a resource to be extracted, not a human being to be nurtured. You have been taught that your value is conditional, that you must constantly prove you deserve to exist by being useful. This is why rest feels dangerous. Because on some level, you believe that if you stop producing, you stop mattering. But that's a lie. Your worth is not tied to your productivity. You are valuable simply because you exist. Let's talk about how to break free from this trap. First, you need to reframe rest. Rest is not laziness. Rest is maintenance. When you rest, you're not doing nothing. You're allowing your nervous system to reset, your muscles to repair, and your brain to consolidate memories. Rest is when your body does its most important work. Second, you need to identify your rest guilt triggers. For some people, it's seeing others work. For others, it's the fear of falling behind. Write down the specific thoughts that come up when you try to rest. Once you name them, you can challenge them. Third, practice active rest. If doing nothing feels too uncomfortable, try low stimulation activities that still allow your nervous system to recover. Go for a walk, sit in nature, listen to music. These activities give your brain something to focus on without demanding productivity. Fourth, set boundaries with productivity culture. Unfollow accounts that make you feel like you're not doing enough. Stop consuming content that glorifies the grind. Curate your environment to support rest, not shame it. And finally, give yourself permission. This is the hardest part. You need to consciously tell yourself, I am allowed to rest. I do not need to earn this. My body needs this, and that is enough. Here's what I want you to remember: the system that makes you feel guilty for resting is the same system that benefits from your exhaustion. When you're tired, you're easier to control. You're less likely to question, to create, or to resist. Your rest is not just self care, it's an act of rebellion. So the next time you feel that guilt creeping in, take a breath. Remind yourself that you are not a machine. You are a human being, and human beings need rest, not because they earned it, but because they're alive. Stop apologizing for taking care of yourself. Stop measuring your worth by your output, and start honoring the truth that rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's the foundation of it. It's Sunday afternoon.